we are continuing to make Harry Hook. Today we are working on Harry's pirate hat and his face. I'm not going to do too much to his face. I already told some people I can't make the face to look like the actor. It's beyond my skills. Instead, I'm going to give him a pirate hat. This hat appeared in Descendants 2. The hat is like a crown and a symbolism for pirates. I think it's important that he gets a hat more than anything else. I started out by roughly sketching out the shape of the hat. I did some research, but all I got was that these hats are called bicorn hats. Anyway, I'm guessing these hats are made with either leather or felt, probably by stretching them on a mold. I didn't research for too long, but I decided to just make two pieces, one for the brim and the cap for the head, and attach them together. I transferred the patterns onto the fabric. I'm going to paint on top, so it doesn't matter what kind of design is on the fabric. I cut them out and then pinned them on the doll to see if they fit before I started sewing them together. I painted the brim with black acrylic paint, both inside and out. As the paint dries, the hat should get pretty stiff. As for the cap part, I used a black permanent marker so the fabric will stay elasticy. I painted a strip of black electricity tape with some gold paint, which was used to go around the brim. I didn't have a white feather, so I colored a yellow feather with white acrylic paint. I didn't want to paint too much to avoid making it too stiff. Next, I made the charm that's hanging on his hat. After looking at it for hours, I decided it's a hook and a skeleton hand holding it. I could be wrong, but that's what we're going to make. I used white polymer clay and then painted over it after baking it. separately, this is how the charm looks like. This time I used a black colored pencil to paint his eyes. I think it gives a softer look than a pen. To work on his pants, belt, gloves, his hook, and the charm that's hanging on his jacket. This is definitely one of the most time-invested doll I've ever made. It's not done, so watch out for the next Harry Hook video.